Sorry, I'm just responding to a... Oh, come on.
Yes, we are definitely going to find our.
Hour. I meant out. Now I can't fix it.
It's fine.
Whatever.
We know.
You've heard me read on this thing. You think my writing was going to be any better?
Lights, camera, and action. And action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again. We're going to watch them again. We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared. And action movies so preposterously ludicrous.
To the I Remember Liking That.
Hello?
Now, here's your hosts.
On with the show.
All right, welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. We are getting closer and closer to Christmas, and today we are previewing one of my childhood favorite movies, but I have not seen this movie minimum 15 years. It's probably a little longer.
Same. It's been on TV and I've caught clips, but I haven't seen it in its entirety in probably 15 or 20 years.
Yeah. And as a kid, I loved this movie.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Now,
Did you get
any of the toys? Did you get any of
the
merch?
No, my parents had this very firm rule that they weren't going to get me anything current. Anything that could possibly be a fad, they were like, no. Although I did get a stuffed doll of Alf. So that was good until it started to give me nightmares. Then we had to give it away.
So what do you remember about Gremlins?
I remember Gizmo, the incredibly adorable Mogwai, I think it is.
Yep.
I think we just had this conversation, me and a couple friends. And the havoc that the Gremlins actually created being so much fun. Like, that's what I remember. I remember it being a lot of fun. And I also remember feeling really bad for Gizmo. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have this feeling that like I just felt bad for him.
He was picked on a lot in this movie.
Yeah. And it hurt my heart.
Now, I saw this movie when it came out. I was very young, and it came out in 1984, and it was the first feature. It was during the summer. It was at the drive-in. It was the first feature, and the second feature was Ghostbusters. So that was great. I remember
would be a fun double feature.
It was, and I specifically remember the windows being down because it was hot, and my aunt and uncle came, and my parents came. We were in different cars, but side by side. And I remember my stepdad saying that kind of seemed, because it's rated PG. Spoiler alert. I remember them saying like that seemed a little scary for a PG. And my uncle was like, "Nah, it was all right." He's like, "Did you think it was scary?" And I'm like, "No." And like that night, any noise you heard, you're like, "Huh." Gizmo?
Yeah. I honestly, it was funny and it was great, but I was always concerned about Gremlins.
Yeah.
It became a concern.
Well, I found a bunch of stuff that will help us just because this is a special movie. Well, but it's the 1980s one. So this was, for everyone listening, if you were born in the 80s or living through the 80s, merchandise for movies, cartoons was out of control. And I mean that in a good way. And if a movie hit like Gremlins did, it was everywhere on everything. One of the things I did get as a kid was the Gremlins sticker album. So you could buy the book for 25 cents. And then you went into the store and you bought packs of stickers. Yeah. And that's where they got you. I can't remember how much the packs of stickers, but it was a lot more than 25 cents. And you would get doubles and triples and you trade at school, hoping to fill up the book. And the book was worthless, but it was really fun as a kid. And they did this for hockey, baseball, football, and any hit movie, cartoon. I remember my cousin had like Strawberry Shortcake.
Apparently there's a chain called Five Below, and they now have retro toys. So they have the little figurines of like Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake and all of that. And if I make it to Buffalo on the weekend,
that's where you're going?
Yes, I will be going to Five Below and stocking up on all of these toys.
Anna's going to relive her childhood. Her whole room's going to be decked out in stuff she didn't get.
Yeah, I am.
I also got these, the Gremlins collectible figurines. For those listening, it's just it came in a 3-pack. It had Mogwai, Stripe, and then a Gremlin.
So cute.
I didn't have this. I would love this, the Gremlins lunchbox and thermos. Back then, you got both of them together. I would have loved this. And this, I had this
usually
one,
the thermos
and
fit in the lunchbox.
What's that?
Usually the thermos fit in the lunchbox, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And the ones I got, it was a lot taller, and the thermos would go on the top part with a hook to keep it up, and you put all your lunch on the bottom.
Yep.
Now, this, I remember having this exact one, but I also had many others. This was the poor man's Etch-a-Sketch.
Yes.
And for those listening, it is just a board with a static paper, and you got a real red pen, but you could draw anything, and you just lift the paper up and it would erase it. And when you were going on a trip and your parents said, grab something to play with, you knew you were going for somewhere long. This was always something that you took with you. Like back in the 80s, there were no Game Boys. You got to grab
something to play with?
Yeah. Well, if it was somewhere long, like if they say grab something, like, oh, it's going to be a long trip. And there were no tablets, there were no phones, there were nothing, no Game Boys, nothing. You listen to your parents talk or play with your toys in the back. Or the radio.
Yep.
All right. So I have a couple more things, but or you just slept. I have a couple more things, but we will do that in between each one. So let's go to the box office for Gremlins. Get out of here, Santa.
Yeah.
All right. Gremlins was released on June 8th, 1984. Again, I don't get they wanted the summer. I get this. They wanted the summer blockbuster. In the 80s, blockbusters were a thing.
Yep.
Yeah. It had a budget of $11 million, and it opened in 1,511 theaters, and it was the number 2 movie with a weekend of $12.5 million. And it ended with $148,168,000. It was the third highest grossing movie of 1984. Now, just interesting facts that the number 1 movie, it opened the same day as Ghostbusters. And Ghostbusters was number 1.
Wow.
The number 3 movie was Temple of Doom. And those were the 3 highest grossing movies of the year. And Gremlins stayed at number 2 for 6 weeks, and Ghostbusters stayed at number 1, I think, for 7 weeks. I think it took 7 weeks and Purple Rain to come out before they were started to get knocked off. But yeah, they were a summer hit.
Huge hit. Huge.
And $148 million back in 1984. That's a lot of money. All right. So I think we did this before last year. I can't remember, but I had this exact same thing, and it's a toy, and I have a thing for it.
This is the story of Gremlins. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this. Let's begin now. When Rand Pelzer entered the musty backstreet curio shop in Chinatown, he was hoping to find something different. But the tiny singing creature he discovered in a dark corner was more than different. It was special. It was a Mogwai. Rand was enchanted.
I've never seen anything like it. How much is he?
The old shop owner shook his head.
I cannot sell him at any price. Mogwai is very special creature. Needs much responsibility.
And you followed the book along
I
with the
had
chimes,
one.
and there came a little. Yeah,
I had one of those books, but it was Muppets Go Camping.
I had a ton of them. I had like Temple of Doom. I had a bunch of them. They have like a ton, and I mean a ton of these from start to finish on YouTube, where you could go and like find the ones you had and like listen to it and listen to the chimes.
Just relive your childhood.
Yeah, your read-alongs. Okay, now this came out. A lot of this stuff was I read a little bit. A lot of this stuff was rushed because it came out in summer, was a gigantic hit, and Christmas was right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Gizmo, imagine he's your pet. It's fun to care for Gizmo and never getting wet. As a kid, make sure to keep him out of the light and never feed him after midnight. It's fun to care for Gizmo. He's a lovable pet.
I'll take care of you, Gizmo.
He's a lovable pet.
He's the lovable Gizmo. I never had that toy. All right. There's a couple more, but we'll go on.
No,
to
neither
this
did I.
All right. Tale of the Tape. Gremlins is a 1984 holiday fantasy rated PG and comes in at 1 hour and 46 minutes. We did Red Dawn a while back, and we were talking about Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we talked about who was responsible for that, but these guys were. Gremlins and actually Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were both rated PG, and I guess parents really got pissed because they didn't think it should be PG.
Yeah.
So thanks to the Gremlins and Indiana Jones, we got the PG-13 rating.
Which is a useful rating because
Yes.
now you can distinguish between older kids will like this or can watch this and handle it. Younger
Yeah.
kids can't.
Yeah.
At this point, you were just like tossing the dice and being like, oh, is this going to give my kid
Traumatizing your
nightmares or
kid.
no?
All right. Taglines. Cute, clever, mischievous, intelligent, and dangerous.
Too many words. Good effort.
You can't get burned seeing Gremlins.
Stupid.
Yeah, I think they're meaning that this movie's good. You won't get burned by, but yeah, it's not good. Steven Spielberg presents. I mean,
That
if
is
you can
not
use
a
that as a
tagline.
tag, if you can use that as a tagline, you pretty much can make some money. Cute, clever, mischievous, intelligent, dangerous, crossed, and it's all crossed out. We're here, and I'll show you what that means later.
Oh,
What you see isn't always what you get.
that's a really good fucking tagline.
Yeah, that was a good one. The Gremlins are coming.
No.
Don't get them wet. Keep them out of bright light, and never feed them after midnight. Those are instructions.
They are
That's the instructions they have in the Mogwai.
It kind of makes sense to have that as a tagline, but it's mediocre at best.
Yeah, I guess if you saw that, you'd be like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
They didn't obey the rules.
Good tagline.
And that is it for the taglines. Synopsis. All right. A gadget salesman is looking for a special gift for his son and finds one at a store in Chinatown. The shoekeeper is reluctant to sell him the Mogwai, but sells it to him with the warning to never expose in bright light, water, or to feed him after midnight. All of this happens, and the result is a gang of gremlins that decide to tear up the town on Christmas Eve. If I read that, that would sell me easily.
Oh, God, yeah.
And the poster, dun, 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 is very iconic. For those listening, it's Peter the guy the kid that owns the Mogwai. It's just holding a box, and inside the box you can see two little eyes and two little paws grabbing his thumb and one lifting the lid off, and then Gremlins. I like it.
I think it's a great poster.
Yeah, and above it is
super ominous, though.
Yeah, and above it is cute, clever, mischievous, intelligent, dangerous. And then the one where it is before, because it got so popular, they decided to redo the poster, and they came out with the same thing, but it's an actual gremlin breaking through the poster, scratching it, the cute, nice thing, and writing "We're back."
See, that would have been good for the sequel.
That would have been very good.
I feel like that's a better poster for the sequel.
I remember really liking the sequel too.
Barely remember the sequel. I know I watched it.
Same, I believe, same cast, mainly the same cast and same director. All right, so let us check these out.
Are you hungry? Hungry as a gremlin? Here's gremlin cereal.
Gremlins, gremlins, bite after bite. What a tasty way to satisfy a gremlin appetite.
Gremlins is a deliciously sweet, crunchy cereal that satisfies the hungry little gremlin that's in all of us.
Gremlins, gremlins, bite after bite. What a tasty way to satisfy a gremlin appetite.
Gremlin cereal is part of this complete breakfast.
I've never had gremlin cereal.
Neither have I. But that animatronic Mogwai was terrifying. Because that was not a puppet, my friend.
No, it wasn't. All right.
Is there a gremlin in your box? Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, and other Kellogg's cereals are fun to eat. And in each specially marked box, there's one gremlin sticker. You can collect Gizmo, Stripe, and more to make your great breakfast even more fun. Only from Kellogg's, the great tasting cereals that everybody loves.
God, remember when they used to put toys in cereal?
I wish they would do that. Although here it would be just the youngest would get it all the time.
Well, yeah.
She just yelled for me to come into the room.
She'd be like, take it out. Take it out.
Yeah. But I remembered loving that stuff. Like getting the stuff in the cereal boxes is so good. Oh,
God, yeah. It was every time I poured a bowl of cereal, I was like, is the prize landing in my bowl? Because I knew better than to stick my hand in that box.
Yeah. All right. And here's this one. This one killed me.
There's something special for your kids at Hardee's. With any sandwich, fries, and soft drink, get a Gremlins storybook and record for 99 cents or less plus tax. Collect all 5 of these read-along stories about Gizmo and his friends.
It's new Gremlin books, it's new records too, 'cause you love Gizmo and Gizmo loves you. Now it's Gremlins that are making America say, it's here, it's all here at Hardee's.
It was making America safe.
It was a whole ass record.
Yeah, it's a whole 45 record and a book to follow along. It was a read along, but it was with a record. And I guess, yeah, in the '80s, I had a record player.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
I still have a record player. I also still have my Smurfs album.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So that leaves us to Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. So 79 critic reviews give this movie 86%. I was a little surprised, not overly.
It's very respectable.
Yeah. 250,000 audience members have that 78%. Whether you choose to see it as a statement on consumer culture or simply a special effects heavy popcorn flick, Gremlins is a minor classic. That is our critic consensus.
Interesting.
Okay. You can start with the positive, the fresh.
A seasonal classic for good reason. It's family-friendly. Frights successfully blend together humor and horror for an alternative to a more traditional holiday viewing. Patrick Kavanagh, The Wolfman Cometh, original score 4 out of 5.
The pitch black comedy works, and it makes you wonder how a generation of parents took their kids to see this as children's entertainment, without question. Caroline Westbrook, Empire Magazine, original score, 4 out of 5.
Nice. If you grew up in the 80s and remember a simpler time without cell phones, or you want to introduce your kids to the magic of 1980s films, then Gremlins is a great place to start. Allison Rose, Flick Direct, original score, 4.5 out of 5.
Think of A Christmas Carol visited by the birds. Think of the Muppet movie Run Amok. Imagine a berserk film editor splicing It's a Wonderful Life to Invasion of the Body Snatchers with quotings from Snow White and the nod to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. David Sterrett, Christian Science Monitor. This was a positive review from a Christian Science Monitor.
He's just being very specific. Like, this is what you're getting, guys.
Yeah.
This film was always a favorite of mine as a kid, and I'm happy to report that it still comes through today as an adult. A top-notch movie which effectively balances various elements. Joe Blow. Joe Blow's Movie Network, original score, 8 out of 10. You know what, Joe Blow? We'll let you know if you're right.
Yeah. Crazy Joe Dante at his absolute best. Scott Weinberg, eFilmCritic.com, original score, 5 out of 5.
At the level of serious film criticism, it's a meditation on the myths in our movies. Christmas, families, monsters, retail stores, movies, boogeymen. At the level of pop movie going, it's a sophisticated, witty B-movie. Roger Ebert's Chicago Sun-Times, original score, 3 out of 4.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right, I'll start with the rotten. Spoof horror doesn't horrify, it sickens. Spoof comedy doesn't amuse, it annoys. Spoof comic horror is for the stuffed birds. Clive James, Observer, UK.
God, Clive. There's a mischievous playfulness about Gremlins, and that's its most endearing quality, but I found it grating on me early on and soon turning to mean-spiritedness. John J. Puccio, Movie Metropolis.
And I kind of get that. 'Cause I know the Gremlins they're dicks.
They're dicks.
They really are.
100%. They're dickish bullies. That's it.
Dante is perhaps the first filmmaker since Frank Tashlin to base his style on the formal free-for-all of animated cartoons. He is also utterly heartless. Dave Kerr, Chicago Reader.
Wow. Gremlins is far more interested in showing off its knowledge of movie lore and making random jokes than in providing consistent entertainment. Vincent Canby, New York Times.
All right.
From the Times.
Yeah. IMDb. 240,000 user ratings, has it at 7.3.
That's not bad.
No. I'll start. A wonderful nightmare-fueled classic gem. 10 out of 10. Unique particle.
Nobody's got a story like this one. Nobody. 9 out of 10. Curiosity killed Sean.
80s Christmas horror cheese fest. 8 out of 10. 1980.
A crazed holiday creature feature that's good for more than just scares. 7 out of 10. Dr. Q Shadow reviews.
Cynical, cleverly made horror parody marred by occasionally mean-spiritedness. 6 out of 10. Barnaby Rudge.
Zonked out Christmas confection with claws. 5 out of 10. Moon Spinner 55.
Too scary for kids, not clever enough for adults. 4 out of 10. Marauder the Slash Nymph. Whatever.
Pretty gruesome for a comedy. 3 out of 10. The Sarcologist.
Gremlins was a lot funnier when we were stoners. 2 out of 10. Nabor.
Dude, that's true for most movies.
Yeah, really.
How does this exist? 1 out of 10. Kool-Aid Bro. Oh, Kool-Aid Bro.
All right, so the last thing for us to do is to watch the trailer and then make our predictions. All right.
Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins. Billy Pelser has a nice home.
Billy, is that you?
Yeah, Mom, it's me.
A nice job. A nice girl.
If you're not doing anything this Thursday night, maybe you'd like to go out on a date with me?
I'd love to.
And loving parents who are about to give him...
You're going to like this. No, don't shake it.
We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
The most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it?
It's your new pet.
Come on, Barney, be a good dog. My dad gave it to me.
But there are a few things to keep in mind. If you expose it to the light, you may hurt it. If you get it wet, it will multiply.
All that from water? They got wet?
Yeah, plain water.
And most important, no matter how much they beg, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change. They become clever, mischievous,
What's going on here?
and dangerous.
Gremlins, huh? Little monsters.
Right.
Hundreds of them.
Well, I don't know, maybe thousands.
They've been here too. Billy, what are these things? Where did they come from?
Look, I know it sounds crazy, I know. But in a few hours, you're gonna have a major disaster on your hands.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
Yay!
That was actually a well-cut trailer because you never
was
actually see the Gremlins.
No,
Or Mogwai.
you saw the hand in the back of the head. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
never
They never
gave
showed
away.
Gizmo.
I hate
Yeah.
today that they pretty much give you all the big stuff in
Yeah.
trailers. Just to no, that was really
We watched
good. And
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg produced it, but Joe Dante, who's a great director, and it was also written by Chris Columbus.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of talented people and a lot of actors. And I know, did we see? Trying to remember, Corey Feldman in that?
Yep. Corey
Yeah.
Feldman was in there.
Yeah, and there's a few other faces in there that I recognized.
Yeah.
All right, what's your prediction?
I think I'm really going to like it. I don't know if I'll love it, but I think I'm really going to like it. I don't know if it'll be a Christmas like staple though. For me.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna really like it. Like I said, we talked before, I'm gonna watch this with my kids. I think they'll like it. I think they'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't want this. This is I have a lot of childhood movies, but this is a big one. This is a top 10 childhood movie for me.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't suck.
I don't know if this was a top 10 childhood movie for me, but
No.
I watched a lot of random shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, you did like the last holiday. So I can only
liked
imagine.
it. You know what? One of my favorite movies when I was a kid was The Wizard of Oz. Like I loved that
I like the
movie.
Wizard of Oz.
So like
Yeah, I like the Wizard of Oz.
yeah. So I also watched a lot of I was 8 years old and watching Nightmare on Elm Street, and then also watching a lot of soap operas. So I mean, I had very varied tastes when I was younger.
No, my childhood is like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Gremlins, Goonies, Back to the Future,
Goonies I
Ghostbusters.
loved. Yeah, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Those were all there too. A lot of Muppets.
Oh, I
The
did
Muppets
enjoy it.
were
Yeah,
my
I love the
jam.
Muppets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to go watch Gremlins, and when we come back, we'll find out if it's as good as we remember.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Welcome back to the I Remember Like That Movie podcast. Before I have
Oh god, that's so cute.
and it has the VHS inside it, and it actually even has the synopsis on the back. And
Oh
everything.
god, that's adorable. I am wearing my
Nice.
Gremlin sweatshirt.
And I
with a little
got
Gizmo.
my Gremlins
Fantastic.
cup. This stuff was all bought before we watched or even decided to watch Gremlins.
Same with this, actually. I think I was wearing this sweatshirt when we decided to watch Gremlins.
All right. So I have watched Gremlins from 1984. Have you watched Gremlins from 1984?
Yes, I have.
All right. And what did you think of the B movie creature feature extravaganza?
I need to watch it again. I liked it.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
No, here's the thing. I was watching it and I was like, oh, yeah, no, I kind of remember this. Okay, great. Super idyllic town, mad racist Chinatown. Like, I was like, guys. But I was like, ooh, that's super racist.
I don't know if it was racist per se, but very stereotypical 80s Chinatown.
It was racist. I was like,
well, now, today it's racist.
No. In the 1980s, I was going to Chinatown. My Chinatown didn't look like that.
I went to Chinatown in the 80s or 90s, and I was like aghast at the ducks, the skinned ducks just hanging in the window. Like, oh, what the fuck?
And I was very tempted to eat some of that duck because I was like, that looks delicious.
Chinatown people are nuts. And I was with one of my coworkers. This was in the late 90s. And I'm like, the Chinese people, it was Chinese people everywhere. And they're staring at me. And I'm like, why are they staring at me? She goes, because you're white. You're the white devil. They don't want you here.
Which city's Chinatown was this?
Vaughan.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, Toronto Chinatown. Everybody's like, yeah.
Oh, they want to. They want you to come in and buy stuff.
Like they're used
this wasn't
to
a market. This was like a mall, a mall with like.
Yeah.
But it was only Chinese people.
Yeah.
And they were looking.
No.
Like,
if you go into there were a couple Asian malls downtown where every time I'd walk in, like nobody was white except for like me and a couple of my friends. And I'm like, oh, do they not know about the super cute stuff that you have in here? Do other white people not know? And I'm like, it's okay. Don't tell them because I like this. But yeah, no, it was a super racist depiction of Chinatown. I'm going to throw that out there. I'm going to be real honest. And then it was cute, idyllic, like small town. And it was Billy and his dog Barney and it's nice, so great. And then it started to take a turn. And I was like, I do not remember it being this unhinged. And then I kept watching and watching and watching. And I was like, I need to watch that again just to catch everything because there was a lot of, how did I forget that? How did I forget that?
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff I didn't remember.
Yeah.
And it was,
I was like, oh, right.
When we previewed it, I said that my parents were like, this seems a little, after the movie was done and it was over, they were like, this seemed a little more not for children. And I kind of get that now, not because me and my brother were super young. Like my brother was younger than me. For 11, 12, 13, it would be fine. But yeah, it should have had a PG-13 on it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, it should have. I guess I had blocked out or just forgotten all of the violent, suggestive, like
they're nuts
stuff. And then as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh. And it took me a while to wrap my head around it because I was like, how do I forget this?
Yeah.
But I still really liked it.
Yeah, my initial thoughts, I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I watched it with most of my kids. The youngest, I didn't. I was going to, and then I thought, I should, and I'm glad I didn't.
Good call.
Yeah. They stuck with the entire movie. They laughed. They jumped a few times. They were grossed out a few times.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a perfect movie, which we'll get into that, but I had fun. I love that my kids loved it. I thought it was funny. It was gross. I appreciate the mom a lot more this time around. What a fucking Rambo she is.
She's a fucking rock star, man.
Oh,
fucking rock star.
Yeah, she was. And never even occurred to me. I never even thought of it as a kid. But as a kid, you're looking at Gizmo, you're looking at Stripe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the mom,
I forgot the mom was that much of a Rambo. Like, I was like, oh, right. She like fights back.
Yeah.
No hesitation.
No.
She was like, nah, fuck this shit. I'm grabbing a knife. I'm taking care of business. And I'm like, yes.
All right. Before we dive in, let's go one thing of the. No, they'll come up soon enough. Hopefully, it is Wikipedia. So hopefully, well, let's go through the movie.
Okay.
And hope Wikipedia. All right. Struggling inventor Randall Peltzer visits a Chinatown antique store, hoping to find. I just see racism now that you said it. Wait, I'm ruining it for me. Hoping to find a Christmas present for his son, Billy. He's played by Hoyt Axton, born in Oklahoma, and with a name like Hoyt, I believe it. And what a voice that guy had.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No,
he is.
And you've seen him in lots of stuff.
Yeah,
Like, that's
he's
the
been
thing.
in
You've
tons.
seen him in so much. And I love him. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, great. But let's be clear. He didn't go into that store to buy his son a Christmas present. He went
No.
into that store to sell his faulty bathroom buddy, I think it was. And and after he sprays toothpaste all over himself, we hear the singing Mogwai.
Yeah. No, he was big, burly, but yeah, what a hell of a voice. He could have done radio.
Yeah.
Cartoon
Oh,
voices.
yeah.
He would have made a great
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, he would have made a great strip club DJ. Would have been just. See, I look sometimes psychotic and mean. I'm big, I'm burly. I have a fairly deep voice, but I laugh and giggle like a Looney Tunes character. Like at best, I'm a medieval Batman villain. Me and Mike Tyson. Dynamic evil duo. Inside, Randall encounters a small furry creature called a Mogwai, which is Cantonese for devil. The owner, Mr. Wing, refuses. Yeah, it's a devil. There's 3 dialects. It's a devil, demon, and gremlin, depending on what dialect.
Okay.
Different Chinese, Asian language. I thought that was kind of cool. The owner, Mr. Wing, refuses to sell Randall the creature, but his grandson secretly does, warning Randall to remember 3 important rules. Do not expose the Mogwai to light, especially sunlight, which will kill it. Do not let it come into contact with water. And above all, never feed it after midnight. First, they do a great job of revealing Gizmo, or taking their time revealing, because you don't really see him yet.
Yep. No.
So when we finally do see him in full, when Billy gets him, it's great. And for 1984, Gizmo, I'll say he's fucking adorable.
So fucking adorable. The facial expressions.
Yeah.
I was like, I want one. I want one so bad.
But they did
also, did you realize the voice of Gizmo is Howie Mandel?
Howie Mandel, yeah.
I was like, well, shit, Howie.
And then he did Bobby's World, and that was one of his main characters for a stand-up. So you can kind of hear it.
No, he's a really great voice actor. Really, really good.
Yeah. Okay, so first, great effects on Gizmo, and we haven't even really seen him yet. Okay, yes, the 3 rules are ridiculous. I remember reading or going over some of the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Sunlight and bright light, the most believable of the 3. Now we know why, because they need to hide the effects.
Yeah.
Don't get them wet. Like, what if they shit and get it in their fur? You don't bathe them. How do they drink?
That was my question. Is it just wet with water?
Yeah.
Like,
or can they
you wipe
drink
them
pop
down with like
with
rubbing
wet wipes?
alcohol? Well,
Yeah.
wipes I think has water in it, but is it just pure water that there are lots of technicalities. This is one of those moments where
because like the dog licks Gizmo at one point.
When he licked Gizmo's ear, I was like, is that enough water for him to like do stuff? And then I was like, oh, I guess not. Maybe dog saliva just isn't water enough.
And the most ridiculous, don't feed them after midnight. Like the trivia thing, it's always after midnight somewhere. What time zone? Until when? What time can you feed them?
I'm assuming it's whatever time zone you're in.
Yeah. And then, but till what time? And they never really set a time. But these rules are stupid but necessary to push the story forward, because without them, nothing happens. But I could argue most movies, horror, fantasy, have plot holes. I want to see the new Godzilla -1. And you know what plot hole that movie has? A 200-foot giant fucking lizard that spews radioactive lightning from its mouth. Yet I will suspend my disbelief to enjoy the movie.
Well, I think we can point out the fallacies and like the logical breakdown. We can point that out till the cows come home.
Yes.
We just know it's not a real world situation.
No,
and that's okay.
it's just to have fun.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
So I think people who are like, oh, I can't watch it because it doesn't make sense. I'm like, really? Because if the rules were like different, where instead of like don't feed them after midnight, it was don't feed them after dark, or don't expose them to sunlight because they have a sensitivity or whatever, it'll kill them. And then it was like don't get them wet with like pure water.
Yeah.
Even if those were the rules. We're talking about a little furry creature that sings and mimics voices.
Yeah.
Why? We don't need common sense. We don't need logic. This movie is fine.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia here, and of course, okay. Actually, on a side note, the actor who played the kid who gives Gizmo, his name is John Louis.
Mm-hmm.
He actually returns to voice a character in the new Gremlins cartoon.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and there is a new Gremlins cartoon that's on, I don't know, what's one of the cartoon networks.
Is there really?
Yeah, I'm going to have to look for it because now I want to see it.
Yeah.
So we see Billy. He can't get his car working. The war vet there, Mr. Fetterman, played by Dick Miller,
Fetterman. Yep.
tells us because it's not American made.
It's a foreign car. It's foreign.
He goes to work. The bank where he works, we meet Phoebe Cates.
Mm-hmm.
Kate. I had such a crush on Phoebe Kate.
Phoebe Cates.
What happened to her?
She was still acting for a little while, and then I almost feel like she retired.
No, I'll tell you what happened. Kevin Kline married her and kept her all to himself. That's what happened. That selfish some bitch.
That bastard.
Dick. And then she did Drop Dead Fred. And I think no one would hire her
love that
again.
movie. I
It
think
didn't do well. Yeah. Yeah.
this is what I do now. Every time I talk about an old movie, I'm like, I love that movie. I think.
Yeah. No, I think she was one of those ones that wanted to concentrate on her family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mrs. Deagle, she comes in. Actually, we see her marching with purpose down the street, coming towards the bank, carrying a snowman's head, just
as you do,
bumping into people and telling them to move. You get a really good idea of who and what this character is. She gets to the bank, walks to the head of the line. Oh no, wait, there was a lady there with her two kids.
Yeah, first she gets stopped by the lady with her two kids where she's like,
yeah,
sorry, neither my husband nor I have been, but he's got a new job and I've been doing some sewing work on the side. We just need, can we get 2 more weeks to make the payments?
And she's
all like, nope.
Nope.
But it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Then you should have done better and made sure you had a job. And it was like,
and then they're walking away and the one kid's like, I'm hungry. She's like, I am too. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
They really wanted to push the whole narrative of like she's the town cunt.
Yes.
FYI.
And that it's totally successful.
Yes.
So now what happens? She's in there. She goes and accuses Billy and Billy's dog of wrecking her Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Billy was just like, well, tell me how much. And she's like, no. I want your dog. The dog Barney gets himself loose from under the counter and then attacks her.
I mean, valid. She did threaten to put him to sleep.
Yeah. Which she said would be better than what she could actually do to him.
Mm.
And then we cut to, I think they're at the bar where Gerald, played by Judge Reinhold, who could play the most likable, goofy character as well as a douche.
He plays a really good douche.
He does. And him and Phoebe Cates were in Fast Times at Ridgemont High together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where he was also a little bit of a douche.
A little bit of a douche. He's sitting with Billy like they're friends, but he's just like, your dad's a loser. You're supporting your family. I'm going to be running the bank. Starts hitting on Kate. Like, you should come see my new apartment. I got cable.
Yeah. You should come see my new apartment. I never saw your old apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That was a good line.
And then like Billy gets up and walks to the table and he's like, sure, okay, bye. And he follows
and sits down.
The
Yeah.
douche nose follows him. And I was like, guys, take a hint. Stay at the bar. Have your martini.
Yeah. Okay, now we're caught up to Wikipedia here. Okay, so Randall returns home to Kingston Falls, where he gives the Mogwai to Billy as a pet. Billy works in the local bank, but fears that his dog Barney will be put down by widowed miser Mrs. Deagle. That's all it mentions about the dog and Mrs. Deagle.
Oh.
Okay, Randall names the Mogwai Gizmo and explains the 3 rules. Gizmo is friendly and docile, but when Billy's young friend Pete accidentally spills water on it, okay, Jesus fuck. In between this, we see that Mr. Peltzer is an inventor. It's not a great one, like his juicer, his automatic egg cracker. even the mom is like, they were good for a couple of weeks, and then
God, can I tell you, that woman, fucking saint.
yeah.
Fucking saint.
Yeah.
Because if that was my husband, I'm going to tell you right now, I'd
While
be
your
out.
son's out
I'd be
making
like,
the
you
money
can
for
sleep in the garage. Goodbye.
And then Corey Feldman shows up, and we saw him earlier. Well, heard
Yep.
him. If you love 80s movies, there's a good chance you saw a few Corey Feldman movies.
Or even reality shows in the 2000s.
Or in reality shows. But he was dressed up a tree helping his dad sell Christmas tree. I recognize his voice.
Yeah.
So he spills water on Gizmo. And here we go. 5 more Mogwai spawn from his back. A more troublemaking sort led by aggressive Stripe, named for the tuft of fur on his head. Not part of Wikipedia here. Billy tells his dad in true capitalist fashion he sees like a gold mine. He's like, ooh, I bet you every kid in America will want
concerns
one
me.
of these.
Yeah, it concerns me because I'm like, you're not worried that all that happened was that he spilled a little water and now you got 5 more? You're not concerned at all in the fact that they pop up and out? I'm like, I would not be super like enthused about this. I would be worried.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry. I'm just responding to a oh, come on.
Yes, we are definitely going to find our.
I meant out. Now I can't fix it.
It's fine.
Whatever.
We know.
You've heard me read on this thing. You think my writing was going to be any better? Okay, so
it's fine. Let's go.
So
but yeah, no, he was very enthused about
yes,
giving every child a Mogwai.
And we also see the other Mogwais playing like the little arcade, spitting at Gizmo, who's just playing his little trumpet, having a gay old time, and they're being total dicks.
Yep. But it's funny because they just kind of, and Billy's the one that notices it, where he's like I think it was his dad was just like, oh, they're all so like they all look alike or whatever, and kind of thing. And he's like, don't you think they're a little bit different?
Yeah.
They're a little different from Gizmo. And Gizmo's just sitting there like, hey guys, it's all good. And then they start getting a little more aggressive and a little more early teenager-esque.
They were funny though.
They were funny.
Yeah. Billy shows one of the Mogwai to his former elementary school science teacher, Mr. Hansen. And they put water on it, spawning another Mogwai on whom Hansen experiments. Back at home, okay, before we see this, we see Billy, because it's not in Wikipedia. Billy wakes up hearing Barney, the dog, whimpering.
Yeah.
He goes outside and Barney is tangled up in the Christmas lights just hanging there. Billy thinks it's Mrs. Deagle, but I think it was the other Mogwai.
It was because they snickered.
Yeah.
Like when he gets out of bed to go find Barney, they're all
laughing.
snickering. And I was like, oh, you guys are assholes.
But I did enjoy them. Stripe and his fellow Mogwai trick Billy into feeding them after midnight by severing the power cord on his alarm clock. My kids look like that when they wanted to be fed, and they looked in the box, and all 5 of them were just like feed us, just going nuts. But I did like that scene of them stopping their feet in unison, demanding the food. We get Billy around this time showing up at the bar, walking Kate home. Before this or after this, where he asks her out on a date in which she says yes. I don't know if it was before this or after this.
After this.
Okay. Because it's not here. I'm not seeing it.
I think it was after. Because doesn't he ask her out when he's walking her home from the bar?
Yes. Well, he meets her at the bar and old man Fetterman's there and he's too drunk and she's like, why don't you walk home? And he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to walk home.
And then he said something about like gremlins in his car.
Tractor to the bar.
Of course.
What's that? Oh,
American
he talks about
made,
the gremlins.
15. Yeah, he's like, yeah, there are gremlins in my car. You know, there are gremlins in there. But his tractor was 15 years American made, never a problem. Not like those foreign cars.
Yeah, those foreign ones. They form cocoons, as does the teacher, Hansen's Mogwai, which soon hatch, emerging as mischievous. Okay. We're about almost 40 minutes in. We've seen the Mogwai, but no action has really happened yet at all. But you know what's coming, so there's some great anticipation. Like even if you saw it for the first time, you have an idea of
Yeah.
what's something big is
You're
going to happen.
vibing that something is building.
Yeah.
And that was
And
something I actually thought about because it takes a while to
It
get
does,
to that
yeah.
point,
Well, yeah,
but
we're
it doesn't
40
feel
minutes
like
in.
it.
No.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it
No.
at all. Like by the time I actually checked the time, because there was, wait, I made a note. Where are you? The first note that I said is, why did I think this was a kids movie? Because, and I noted the time as 55 minutes because that's when the action really, really starts.
Yeah.
And I was like, but when I checked the time, I was like, 55 minutes. Have I been watching it for that long? It doesn't feel that long.
No, it doesn't. And that's good
And I give
storytelling,
them
really.
points. Yeah, it's great storytelling. So I was really impressed with that.
Character development, you got to see the whole town, and yeah, they did really something I think is lacking, not in every movie nowadays, but
I feel like in movies now,
I think they'd be afraid to go 55
in.
minutes before action takes place.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I think they think the audience has such a really short attention span, which don't get me wrong. Yes, the attention span has gotten shorter, but I'm like, but if you're telling me a good story and you're giving me enough information and movement, you're still giving me stuff. You don't have to blow shit up. Like it's okay.
Yeah, because my kids, not the brightest bulbs in the bunch, were 55 minutes and they were loving it.
Yeah.
So if you can tell a good story, and they're on the stuff they watch boggles my mind. That's just I don't get it, but whatever. But yeah, they were totally into it. So yeah, if you could tell you just need a good, fun story.
This is a good story that builds.
Yeah. So now, oh, sorry.
No. I was just like, it's a good story that builds. So you never feel like you're stuck in one place. You're constantly moving forward. It's just.
So Hansen realizes it first and he calls Billy. And Billy says he's on his way over there. So dark green reptilian monsters called Gremlins, who then they torture Gizmo. The dartboard.
That made me so sad.
Just
like,
throwing
no,
darts
Gizmo!
at him. Then chuck him down the laundry chute.
Yes,
garbage. They say garbage. Gizmo garbage. And they attack Billy's mother, Lynn. And then this is all that Wikipedia. Hansen is killed by his gremlin. The scene with Hansen, the teacher, and the gremlin got a couple jump scares out of my kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when he noticed it hatch and all the kids left and he's looking around for it, and then it's running around him. And shame on him just blindly putting his hand under the desk and letting it eat the chocolate.
I know. But I mean, he was thinking
youngest.
it was still a Mogwai. He was all like, come on.
He didn't see it.
He didn't see it. So he didn't know.
No.
But also at the same time, he deserved it because he was entirely too enthused about testing and doing stuff to this animal. So, you know what?
This one was already pissed at him for putting a needle in him. Yeah. Because he didn't look happy about it.
And then he put a needle in Hansen's ass.
Yeah.
When he's laying on the floor, there's a needle in his ass. So I'm like, there's a saying in Portuguese, bem feito. You deserve that.
There you go. And Billy's mom, as much as I should have back in the day, like I said, I didn't appreciate her. I would have been throwing my kids in the line of fire. I'd be screaming, run, but tripping the kids so the gremlins could easily attack them.
We've established you'd sacrifice everybody and anybody to get away.
Here you go, gremlin. But Billy's mom, first the blender. That was cool.
That was so cool. But I love it when it first starts. Like she hears the noises. Yeah. She just picks up this big chef's knife.
Yeah.
And
smart.
she goes
Not
to
stupid.
look. And I'm like, look at you picking up a weapon. Then she comes back into the kitchen and then takes one out with the blender, which was gross.
Yeah, the blender.
But fantastic.
The second she just stabbed it to death.
That she did.
Because
violently.
when she went to the third one, if you look behind her, it had the knife in it and it was still kind of moving.
Yeah. And
And
then
then
the third one
the microwave. That was
shoves it
awesome.
in the microwave. And I was like, how did I block this?
Yeah.
Because once I saw it, it jogged my memory. And I was like, how do I forget that she blew up one in the microwave?
Yeah.
What?
And my kids were like, oh, that's gross.
And it is.
And it was,
So
but it was
gross.
really cool. The one hiding in the tree got the jump on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Billy
true,
showed
true.
up and grabbed that sword and decapitated it, and the head went flying into the fire.
As he should. Yes. But
And then
it's funny because all of this happened. I remembered none, like I knew there were hijinks. I didn't remember this amount of violence.
Oh, the violence. I'm looking at going, fucking PG. Are you out of your mind? It's not an R.
No,
and
it's not an R, but you don't want your 5-year-old watching it, by the way. Good
No.
call.
no.
But yeah, that's you're just like this
She would have
is way
woken me
more
up at
violent.
like 3 a.m. There's go check for a gremlin. I'd be like, fuck you. You go check to see. So I'm glad I did not let her watch it.
Yeah, no. That was a solid parenting choice. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yay. Pat myself on the back. Lynn and Billy are able to kill off the gremlins, except for Stripe, who escapes the local YMCA. Yes, him on the goes through the window.
Yep.
And I kind of forgot about this part too. Stripe gets to the YMCA. Billy follows
Mhm.
with Gizmo.
Yep.
Chases Stripe, or looking around for him, opens the thing. He jumps out, scratches him, I think. And then he's standing in the pool. And I think he says something. I can't remember now. Something along the lines of, you're fucked. But he didn't say that. Something gremlin
trying to
cool.
see
And then
if
he just jumps in the pool. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, when he jumped in the pool, it was another memory unlocked. And I
Yeah,
was like, how
and
did
then
I
I'm
forget about
like-
this?
And then my kids were like, what's that going to, I'm like, well, they just spilt a bit of water and 5 popped. And now he just jumped. They're like, there's going to be a lot of them. I'm like, there's probably going to be a couple. So Stripe jumps into the swimming pool, spawning an army of gremlins who wreak havoc in Kingston Falls. Now, I remembered this when I watched it for the first time and was like, yeah, I was excited about what was coming next. And actually watching it now, I was excited about what was coming next because, like you, I didn't remember it being as violent. And it's already started being violent. I'm like, all right, let's see where it goes now. And the movie didn't disappoint. And for $11 million back in the day, and I looked it up, Temple of Doom was 28 million, Ghostbusters was 30. For 11 million, and the amount they did with these gremlins and the havoc they created, that was pretty impressive.
The bar gremlins.
Oh, yeah, that's
the flasher.
Oh, that was so
the
awesome.
one that was smoking 3 cigarettes at once.
Yeah.
The one literally hanging from the fan, the ceiling fan. I was like, this
just going nuts. Yeah.
And all you hear is Phoebe Cates, don't bite me. Just don't bite me.
Just trying to
I was
serve
like,
him as many
"Girl,"
drinks as
she's
they
like,
can.
just here, take it. Just can I maybe? And then she tries to leave by using the flash on the Polaroid camera. And then there's a gremlin holding a gun to her head. She tries to flash to get him to, and the flash
But
is
it's
broken.
out.
And
He's
then she
wearing
has
a
to duck.
ski mask. Yeah, no, it's bonkers.
This is another reason why I think I need to see it again.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, there was not enough time to process everything that I just saw. Like, I need to see it again. But also, because I just realized where we hit in the movie. When after Futterman goes to walk home, Billy and Kate or Billy's walking Kate home. And I think that's where he asks her out.
Yeah.
But then
they talk about Christmas.
They talk about Christmas, and she tells the story of why she hates Christmas.
No, that part's coming up.
Is that part coming up?
All she did was say that she doesn't know why. If anyone hates any other holiday, it's fine. But if someone hates Christmas, she doesn't get why. But she doesn't really expand on it. That's coming up. Yeah. Now in 2023, after he jumped in the pool, what I can only assume is claymation. That was a little cheap looking when they all started coming out of the shadows. Back in the day, it was fine. But that to me was a little cheap, but it didn't bother me.
There are certain things, like if you happen to pay attention to some of the background stuff or you'll see it. But I mean, it's really easy to remind yourself, like 1984.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easy. Yeah. There was no CGI.
No, fuck no.
No.
Although there was later on, there was a little bit of animation.
Yeah, which was very smart.
Very, very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. But yeah. But for the most part, it's like real special effects, like classic ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Just physical, practical effects.
Yeah.
Many people are injured or outright killed by the Gremlins rampage, including Mrs. Deagle. Billy reports this to the police, but they prove to help that they don't believe his story even after he shows them Gizmo. Okay. First, Mr. Futterman and Mrs. Futterman get run over by the tractor. Like he hears something in the garage and you can hear the Gremlins fucking around in there.
Yeah.
And then the tractor just comes exploding through the door. That was awesome. And he chases them right into the house and goes right through the house.
And then his wife is trying to pull him away.
Yeah.
And he's just standing there. Gremlins. There are gremlins.
Yeah, and I just assume they're dead.
Yeah, good assumption.
Gremlins playing with the Gremlins playing with the traffic lights and turns them all green.
Yeah,
and they don't show it, but you hear the car crashes, which I think was really smart. They did a lot of this type of stuff.
Yeah,
people running through the street, some with gremlins hanging on them. Corey Feldman and a slingshot picking the gremlins off his roof.
Yeah,
and the one gremlin coming across on the Christmas lights.
He just cuts it off and he like
just cuts it off. Yeah, and then like I did notice like when he cut it, there was no, and the lights were still on when the gremlins.
Oh, the lights were still on, but there was a little flash.
Oh, like, was there?
There was a little flash, but then the light stayed on, and I was like, that.
But it was so much fun. I did like it's easy to forgive
scene.
A lot of this. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The cops responding to the call and they see the Santa running out onto the street with like 10 gremlins on them. They just roll up the window. They don't even.
Yeah, the cop's like, I'd like to go back to the station now.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we please go back?
Can we please go back to the station now?
And the gremlin
just rolling it up real slow.
While the gremlins underneath the cop car cutting the brake lines.
Yep.
They take off and get in an accident. And yes, you see the ramp. What is that thing called? The ramp part that goes for the stunt driver. Again, I'm guessing like that was the only shot, so the editor had no choice. But it was so fun and chaotic. I forgave all of it, and my kids didn't notice any of it. And can we talk about Mrs. Deagle? How great was her death?
Her death was amazing.
I didn't even recognize her first without her wig.
Well, first she was like just crazy cat lady. I was like, this makes sense.
Yeah,
but then I was
noticing carolers.
Well, her house was kind of in disarray where like stuff's knocked over. And I'm like, oh, so, and it was like dusty and stuff. And I was like, oh, she's one of those crazy cat lady. She's got a few cats, more than a few. And she's having a very big conversation with them. Then she hears the carolers and she goes outside with a glass pitcher of water
to throw at the
carolers. She sees the gremlins, loses her shit, tosses the pitcher to the side, runs inside where I think it was Stripe was fiddling with her electric chairlift on the stairs. And then she's like, no,
shoots up the stairs.
It can't happen now. And she like straps.
Yeah, they're coming to get me.
Yeah. Shoots up the stairs real fast. And
then you see her fly out the window. That was awesome.
And then she lands on her back, her feet up in the air.
But even when the gremlins were actually attempting to sing, I don't know what they were trying to fucking sing. And they were dressed up with earmuffs and toques and hats. Oh, it was awesome.
They're dressed up like real carolers. And it was like, oh, it's adorable.
And then we had, it was awesome. The mailbox gremlin was funny. The guy putting the mail in, the thing, the gremlin was chucking it back out. The one guy putting his hand in and getting it bit.
Yeah.
Okay. As Billy rescues his girlfriend. This is the scene of poor Kate keeping herself alive by just feeding the gremlins booze. I love this scene. It might have been a tad long, but my kids liked it. The drunk gremlins, the flasher, the break dancer, the ones playing poker.
There's a lot to see.
What the fuck was with that detective noir who seemed depressed and that other gremlin with the puppet on his hand?
I don't know. It was chaotic.
I laughed so hard when the guy, he just looked depressed and this little puppet comes up and starts talking to him.
I literally made a note that said the gremlins are unhinged.
Oh, they're just,
they're just
nuts.
Out there and it's amazing.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
They even had a trans gremlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Playing at the poker
Because
table.
gremlins are inclusive, my friend.
Yeah, they don't give
They
a
are
shit.
inclusive.
You be you.
That's
You
right.
be
It
you as
doesn't
long
matter
as you're
how you come to the party, as long as you come.
yeah,
They
as
don't
long as
care.
you're being mischief and fucking shit up.
Just
you
have a
be
good
you.
time.
So then she tries to light the cigarette for one, which I don't get because we saw a bunch of gremlins smoking.
Yeah, well, this one had 3 new cigarettes in his mouth.
Yeah.
So she's trying to light it with one match. And the gremlin's having trouble with, staying upright.
Yeah, and then I liked it when the one gremlin passed out, and then he's like tapping his buddy on the shoulder and being like, "Look at this bitch," and they're laughing.
Unhinged.
Yeah, and that's when you were saying that she got the Polaroid.
Mhm.
She almost made it out. The stalker gremlin or the armed robber gremlin with the ski mask holding the gun, but she's out of flash. But Billy shows up with the car lights shining.
Yeah.
She jumps in the car, and of course, it doesn't start. She meets Gizmo, a little freaked out, but quickly accepts it. They make a run for it, and we're back to Wikipedia. Kate Berenger, I guess that's her last name. They hide in the now abandoned bank where Kate reveals to Billy and Gizmo why she hates Christmas. Right. Or like we said early on that walk, she didn't like it. She didn't say why. So this is when she was 9 years old. Her father went missing on Christmas Eve and did not come home on Christmas Day either. Several days later, he was found dead in the chimney while dressed as Santa Claus, planning to surprise her and her mother. He had accidentally slipped and broken his neck while climbing down the chimney. Still suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, Kate confesses this is how she discovered the truth about Santa Claus. Billy didn't seem too shook up about this.
No.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I had completely blocked out this part. I had no idea. No, and then she starts telling the story, and it's still not ringing any bells until she gets to, and then it was something she got near the fireplace, and then I noticed the smell, and I was like, oh God, I remember it now. I remember it. And I was like, Jesus, oh God. And I had a moment.
I'm like, what's I don't get this depressing. Apparently, when I went through the trivia, Steven Spielberg hated this scene. And he wanted it. He wanted it gone. Joe Dante said this scene kind of sums up the whole movie. Then Steven Spielberg said, "You know what? He's director, and this is what a great producer he is. It's his movie. He's directing it. He wants the scene because Warner Brothers did not want it in there, but." Spielberg sided with Dante. I kind of agree with Warner Brothers and Spielberg. This scene did not have to be in there. It really didn't serve any purpose.
I don't think it needed to be in there.
No.
For the overall movie. But I think for kind of a little bit of character development.
I think that's maybe, yeah.
Like the whole reason where it's also, this is her letting Billy in.
Yeah.
This is them getting closer. So when he eventually, spoiler alert, kisses her.
Yeah.
It's not out of nowhere.
Right.
Like, and it doesn't feel one-sided from him. Like it feels like she's like, no, man, I'm into you too. Cause I told you my worst memory ever of all time and why I hate Christmas. I don't talk about that shit. So I think I understand where Dante was coming from, where he's like, no, cause for this to work, and for them to have this deep bond, like she's there for his like emergency, like scary moment. And he's got to be there for her scary moment, and then they're together. So I get that. I don't know why the story had to be that dark.
No.
Couldn't it just been like her dad ran away at Christmas?
Ran away at Christmas, yeah.
And she found out he had a second family somewhere and just never called her?
Not her
that
dad
would have
broke
done
his
the exact
neck.
same thing.
The chimney.
Not in the chimney with presents.
And we noticed the smell. Because if I was Billy, I'd be like, well, did you open up the presents? What'd you get?
That's because you're twisted. No, but then and she's like, and that's how I found out that there's no Santa Claus. And I was like, so it's just trauma after trauma after I was like, I feel like there's too much trauma. You could have stopped with one trauma. Her dad disappeared at Christmas. Yep. But he took it. I have a feeling though that was just Dante being a little dark.
Yeah.
He was just like, let's go whole hog and just run with it.
Billy and Kate discover that the town has fallen silent and the gremlins are in the movie theater watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This was great too, because if you didn't think it'd get any weirder, the whole theater is just packed with these little morons. But when Snow White started playing, it was awesome. They all fall silent because before they're just going nuts.
They're throwing shit.
A dozen of them are trying to get the projector to work. They get it to work, and then they're like mesmerized and they're singing along with "Hi Ho, Hi Ho." That was funny. They set off a natural gas explosion, incinerating the. Okay. Yeah, this was great too. Okay, so they incinerating all the gremlins except for Stripe, who left to commandeer more candy at the Montgomery Ward store across the street.
Yep.
They go in through the back, set the gas on, and light the rags. They are behind the movie screen. The movie stops playing, and the gremlins see the shadow of Billy and Kate. Yep. Then we see hundreds of gremlins storming the screen.
That's the animation.
Yeah. And then you see the rips and a couple gremlins coming through. It looked really good. Like you could tell it was animation, but it looked great. Like it.
But honestly, one animation for that time.
Yeah.
Like at that point, they were still drawing that shit.
Yeah.
Like they were still hand drawing. So kudos to them. And two, it just made more sense because there was no way they could have achieved it on budget, on time, without doing it with animation. And yeah, you can tell it's animation, but it's so quick, it doesn't matter. You still get the same effect of them rushing towards the screen.
And even as they're chasing Billy and Kate, you see the shadows of them on the wall, the brick walls. And then the gremlins gaining on them. It's the camera behind the gremlins, and there's a few gremlins that they're... So they were really able to manipulate a horde of gremlins chasing them without showing it. Like it was a great for the director and the crew. That it was really well done.
And this is how they kept the budget so low.
Yeah. Theater blows up. Stripe survives. As morning approaches, they follow Stripe into the department store where Stripe attempts to use a fountain to spawn more gremlins. Now, this was a great final battle. Stripe shooting him with the ball launcher and the chainsaw.
Yeah. Oh God, the chainsaw was hilarious.
Escaping on the tricycle. The bow thing, the crossbow.
Yep, the crossbow.
Finally works up the courage and then hops into that remote car, which again would be impossible without the remote control, but it's just funny.
Don't ruin the moment.
Because he's remembering the movie he watched, the race car movie, and he's making the little sound effects as he's driving. And I'm like, fuck, that's awesome. So cute. But yeah, it was adorable. The sound,
Yep.
Shot with an arrow, Stripes, he sees the fountain. Because Kate turned it on. You send a chick to turn on the lights, and she turns on the fountain.
Okay, first of all,
every time it's a chick.
No. No, the breakers are never labeled correctly, okay? Because I have a few in my house.
I don't even think she was looking. She was just fucking turning on switches. It's like me when the light goes out in one of the parts of the house.
You just go into the breakers. You just start.
You hear kids screaming from different parts of the house.
We have a couple where like one's labeled like kitchen, and then we have one that's not labeled at all. And I was like, what is that one for? Why don't we have a sticker on it?
And then you figure it out, but you don't get the piece of tape right on it to put it on there.
Not right away. And you're like, I'll remember that. And then you forget. Yeah.
Forget.
Yep.
So Stripe jumps in the fountain. Gizmo flies in through the car, grabs a skylight, exposing Stripe to sunlight, killing him. By this time, Billy's dad, Randall, has gotten to the mall because Barney jumped out of the car and ran into the mall. He sees the gremlin melt. My kids thought that was really gross. And it was a really, And as a local news report on the day's mysterious tragedies, Mr. Wing reclaims Gizmo at the Peltzers' home. He scolds the Peltzers for their negligence and criticizes Western society. Yeah, he's pretty preachy.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Totally spot on.
For its carelessness with nature. Yeah, he's not wrong. It's pretty typical Western behavior. However, as he turns to leave, Gizmo, having bonded with Billy, bids the young man goodbye. Touched, Mr. Wing then concedes that Billy may be ready one day, and until then, Gizmo will be waiting. And that is our movie. Yay! What is your score?
Buy it. Why? So fucking random. The Gremlins are completely unhinged.
Yeah.
But it's also just a well-made movie.
Yeah.
Like The
Even with
story
all
is
the
well developed.
mistakes,
Even with all the
plot holes,
mistakes,
didn't
all of the
matter.
rough spots, it didn't matter because they told the story, they told it well. You were so invested, you didn't realize that much time had passed. Like, as they're establishing the world of this movie, you're in it. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I know who that is, I know who that is, I know who that is. And I'm like, I'm invested. You're invested by the time the action starts. And the Gremlins are just really fucking unhinged. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, you're gonna need to watch it like 2 or 3 times before your brain fully grasps everything that's going on in it, especially once the Gremlins show up. So it's one of those movies you can watch multiple times because you will get something new from it every time.
Yeah.
So buy it.
Buy it. Okay, my score. Some glaring plot holes, an almost sadistic, depressing father's Christmas death, some dated effects, noticeable film goofs. Cannot deny the fact that this movie is a completely original and fun movie. I know Gremlins aren't original, but the movie is. It's a Christmas movie. It's a family horror movie. It's funny. It's an adventure. It's adorable. It's gross. I love this movie as a kid. I love this movie now. It's just a fun movie. It shouldn't work, but it does. Nostalgia, the fact that no other movie has matched the originality or fun of little adorable creatures and scary green monsters running amok in a small town. Maybe Gremlins 2. I remember loving that one.
I did too, I think.
But it's been a long time. And this movie, it spawned Critters, Ghoulies, Munchies, all those movies, which I love as well, but I don't think they're anywhere near as good as Gremlins. I agree. Buy it. I still love it. It's not a masterpiece. It's not a lesson in stellar filmmaking. It's a lesson in telling a fun, action-packed, silly fantasy horror comedy that is still fun today.
Yeah.
Buy it. Yeah.
It's not. It's funny because I think it's a really great lesson in storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, for all of its rough bits, for all of its unpolishedness, for
It's
all
a
of the
B
holes
movie.
that it, yeah, 100%.
But it
tells a great story.
Yeah,
and
while
a
being
story-
fun.
While being fun and a little ridiculous. And it's
Oh.
amazing how ridiculous it is.
And like you
Even-
said, it wasn't just Billy and Kate. You
Yeah.
got to know Mrs. Deagle, the Fettermans. You got to know the cops. So
You got to
you
know
knew all
Gerald.
these characters. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was in. So you were, by the time shit started to hit the fan, you were in this town.
Mm-hmm.
You were invested in this town and the people in this town. And I think that's so important. And I think that's something that you don't really see a lot in film now, which
No.
drives me bananas. But the fact that it was literally like 50 minutes into the movie before the action starts to hit. And I'm like, it didn't feel like 50 minutes.
No, the
That's
whole
just
movie
good
didn't seem that
storytelling.
long. It was like an
No.
hour and 47, hour 46.
Hour
something
and
like that.
47.
Yeah. And
It
my
didn't seem that
kids,
long.
they stuck with it, which is sometimes rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all of them. They all stuck with the entire thing and loved it.
What's their age range?
12, and 13.
God bless.
The
You got
6-year-old.
some
Nope.
preteens and teens to watch
Mhm.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see a remake or just a continuation of the Gremlins. I know there is the cartoon now, but
Yeah.
a live action Gremlins with a mixture of practical effects and really good CGI could be so awesome. Like an anthology movie with
Yeah.
our TV show, different stories of people dealing with these
Yeah.
Gremlins, the Mogwais, or just another movie.
Give me a limited series.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so awesome.
Right? Just a limited series, like a Where Are They Now kind of vibe. Like,
Because
just-
with you get the right director and writer, you
oh,
could really have an awesome. I don't know. I know number 2 wasn't a big success.
No.
Nowhere near the success of number 1. But yeah, we're definitely January, February. We're gonna have to, because
We're
I
gonna do
really
Gremlins too.
want to see number 2.
Me
After
too.
seeing
I was like, how do we get? Because I remember watching number 2, and I remember it being almost 90% just Gremlins gone wild.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
they
that's
get
what I
loose in
remember.
a high rise, like a super high rise,
Yeah.
something like that.
And I remember a
they're-
lot of just havoc, like wreaking havoc
Yeah.
and just hecticness. And I was just like, but how did they get there? Like, I was like, I don't remember how they got there.
I
So I
know
was like, I
Billy
wanna-
gets
A job.
Gizmo again. And
Oh,
that's
does
where he
he?
works. He works and lives in the building.
Oh, see? Didn't remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that part. And I remember I remember the googly-eyed gremlin that's always
Yep.
laughing, and
I
I
remember
remember the
him.
mean gremlin. Yeah. But yeah,
So, yeah.
again, I don't know how they get so many of them again. But yeah. So no, I really want to watch number 2. So January, February, we're going to have to make it one of our. Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
All right. So that is 2 Buy It's. I really had fun watching this movie.
It was
so
a
good.
fun movie, and it didn't feel like an hour and 47 minutes.
No, not at all.
Which is so important, because that means you're in the movie.
Yeah.
And you're involved and invested. And I'm like, that's just good storytelling. Not the greatest effects.
No.
But good storytelling and an incredibly cute critter. Mogwai Gizmo, so cute.
Oh, imagine a new movie. They could really make, they make those little robot things now that walk. You can probably make a little Mogwai that has a
But
little facial thing.
I just need a plushie. Like, just give me a plushie Gizmo. I want that. Like with the really soft fur.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Let's get one of those. No, I'm going to start looking that up.
You probably find it on Amazon. All right, 2 Buy It's. So thanks for sticking with us for Gremlins 1984. And until we remember liking another movie that hopefully is just as good, but probably won't be.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking.